الأهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين. Together. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد وعلى جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. قال الله العلي العظيم في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله أما يشركون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the beginning, our condolences goes to the Imam of our time, Al-Imam Sahib Al-Asri Wal-Zaman. Allah. روحي وأرواح العالمين لتربة مقدمه الفداء. May our life be ransom for him and his service, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Our condolences goes to also Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, especially Az-Zahra alayha salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And also our condolences goes to the Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam across the globe, especially the Shia and the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat of Hussaini Islamic Center of Peterborough. May the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala count us the true followers of Aba Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. As we start tonight the majalis of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, tonight our topic is about the existence of God or the existence of Allah. This topic, to my knowledge, is the most important topic in Islam. There is no topic that can be as important as this topic. Why? Because this is the first usuluddin. Before al-adala, al-nubuwa, al-imama, al-qiyama, the first root of Islam is tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this tawheed is so important to the point where if this is not there, nothing can be built on top of it. It's like when you build a house, you need a foundation, and then you build on top of it. You can never build something without a foundation. And the foundation of Islam is tawheed. And that is why a person, when it comes to furu'ad-din, a person might not be praying, but Islam says he's still Muslim. A person might not be fasting, but he's still a Muslim. As long as he or she doesn't come out and say, I don't believe Salat is wajib. The moment a person says, Salat is not wajib, I don't believe Salat is wajib, then they become kafir. But he or she doesn't pray, but he says, I know I have to pray, but inshallah someday I'll pray. He is still a Muslim. But the moment a person says, I don't believe in existence of Allah, then they're out of Islam. Because this is the root of Islam. Giving you a practical example, If you have a tree in the house, you can cut the branches of the tree and the tree will still survive. Isn't it? But if you cut the roots, what happened to the tree? It dies. That root is the usuluddin. Those branches, a person can still be a Muslim as long as he doesn't deny what we call ضرورة من ضروريات الدين. And that is why this topic is very important. So tonight, we want to examine how did we come about to believe there is God. And that God is one. Because, this is a big topic, brothers and sisters. And it takes two channels. Channel number one is to prove that there is a God. That's one thing. The second part is to prove that that God is one. Because as we started to talk about God, there are two people, two groups. One group said, no, we don't believe there is God. The atheists say there's no God. We say there is. And in this line, we have so many groups also who come with us. We believe there is a God. Christians. We believe there is a God. Jews. We believe there is a God. Hindus. They all come with us. They say, we believe with you. Right? But when we come to analyze, what God do you believe in? Then that is where we take different route too. We say, no, the God that we believe is one. Christian says, no, it's three. And the list goes on. However, the first thing we talk about, the existence of God, the first thing that our youth, they come across with, especially in the schools and the community we live in, the Western society, they say, how can you believe in something you cannot see? Obviously, that's the first question. Because we believe seeing is believing. If God does exist, why can't we see him? If God does exist, why can't he show himself to us? So we can see him like a moon. Say, oh, that's God. Problem solved. Let's go do the mass. He's there. We saw him. All right? Now, he doesn't do that. If he does exist, what stops him from showing himself to us? Because seeing is believing. We, as the Muslims, we say, no, this theory is absolutely wrong. How so? Say, look, not everything you and I see, but we believe in it. There are many things in life, we haven't seen it, and we cannot see it, but we still believe it. What are those? Number one, you ask any person, say, I'm in love. I love my wife so much. Let me ask you a question. What color is that love that you're talking about? Have you seen the love? Is it blue? Is it green? What color is it? No, I haven't seen it. But you believe it's there, right? Yes. Of course I'm in love. That's why I got married, right? I love my children. I love my wife. I tell, yes, okay, I heard you. But what? Can you show me the love that you're talking about? No, I can't show you. But you still believe it exists, right? And I agree with you, it exists. So what that means, not everything we cannot see means it doesn't exist. Now, another example, you tell me, I am so sad. What happened? I have a bad day. Can you tell me the color of the sadness that you're talking about? How does it look? Is it tall? Is it fat? Is it skinny? Is it thick? What is it? No, I can't explain. But I know it's there. I feel it. I say, I agree with you. But just because you cannot show it to me doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Doesn't it? That's number two. Example number three. Now somebody can say, okay, the love and the sadness, I can feel it in my heart. I can feel it in my body. I say, but I'm going to give you an example where you cannot even feel it. But you still believe it exists. What are they? I said, number one, when you throw something in the sky, what happens? It comes down. Right? Now I ask you, the scientists, what brings it down? You tell me there's something called gravity. I say, okay, what color is that gravity? Have you seen it? What does it look like? I haven't seen it, but I believe in that. How do you believe something you don't see here? But you always tell me, now you cannot believe God exists because you can't see God. I say, if you can believe gravity exists, but you can't believe that God exists, then something wrong somewhere. I can't see God, but I believe God exists. But where do I start as a Muslim to prove that God exists? We start with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Imam al-Muwahhideen, the Imam of all believers of his time. Where you start with what we call Dua of Imam Hussain on the day of Arafah. That dua is the book that teaches us the ultimate tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I want to take you to the ocean of this dua, just a small, and then take it out to another point that we want to make tonight. You know, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he divides the people into two. And I want you to think tonight, which group did Imam Hussain put you into? The first one or the second one? Now it's up to you. Imam Hussain said, when it comes to God, people are divided into two. The first group, Imam Hussain called them blind. Blind? What does it mean? He said, anyone who ever said, what is the sign to prove God exists? Imam Hussain said, that person is a blind. Why, Ya Aba Abdullah? He said, because there are many signs that more than I can even ask for. He said, you don't need any sign. Because there is something called fitra. Your nature itself is an indication towards that God exists. So Imam Hussain alayhi salam, in Dua Arafah, he says, متى غبت عن الأنظار فتحتاج إلى دليل. When did you become hidden to need something to prove your existence? Allahu Akbar. Imam Hussain said, you don't need anybody to tell anybody, oh, God exists. This is the sign. Look here. Look this. No, he said, you don't need that. Why? It says, عميت عين لا تراك عليها رقيبا. Any eyes that doesn't see you, Allah, watching over it, is definitely blind. And Imam Ali alayhi salam comes to echo what Imam Hussain is saying. He says, وَفِي كُلِّ شَيْءٍ لَهُ آيَةٌ تَدُلُّ عَلَيْهِ. See, in everything, there is a sign indicating about his existence. And he says, Kul. Nothing you can look at unless you see Allah with it. And that is why Imam Ali says, when they ask him, هَلْ رَأَيْتَ رَبَّكَ? Have you ever seen your God? He said, وَكَيْفَ أَعْبُدُ رَبًّا لَمْ أَرَى. Why would I worship a God I haven't seen? What do you take me for? Worshipping God just like that? Of course I've seen him before. Then they ask him, وَكَيْفَ رَأَيْتَ? How did you see him? He said, مَا رَأَتْهُ الْعُيُونَ. I haven't seen God with these naked eyes. وَلَكِنْ رَأَتْهُ الْقُلُوبِ بِبَصَائِرِهَا. But I saw God through this heart. So you can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the heart, through the mind, through the intellect. We can see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And tonight I want to walk with you 2 steps just to think about how we can think about existence of Allah. And by the way, as you know, this is an individual responsibility. So the deen, there's no taqleed in it. It's a personal journey that everyone have to take. Now, I can seek help from here and there, fine, but it's a personal journey. Now, don't say, my mother said Allah exists, so I believe her. My dad said, so I believe him. My teacher said, I believe him. No. That's not enough. You have to also use your brain to think. It has to come from inside. Quran and Islam is not about I heard, they said. No. And that's why Quran challenges those idol worshippers. When they told Allah and Prophet, we saw our forefathers, they were doing this. قَالُوا إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا. We found our forefathers. That's how they do, worshiping idols. And we follow that steps too. Then the Quran comes, أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Are you going to follow the steps of your fathers, even if they don't make sense? So Islam is saying, it's not about my father, my mother, my friends, my community. It's about my personal journey. And I want to tell the youth tonight, one great thing about Islam is this. Islam doesn't want you to take things just blindly. Islam wants you to question everything. Never said, oh, I don't want them to think I'm bad. No, everything spit it out. And that is the greatness of Islam. Because nothing, any question you can think of, and Islam is lacking the answer. Islam is not a religion which is scared about some question and tells you this is a red zone, don't go there. No. I said, bring it on. We're ready for anything you bring it. As a matter of fact, you go to the Quran, Allah said, قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Bring it on. Mubahala, you can see it, right? Bring it on. We're ready. Talking about logic? We got it. Talking about wisdom? We got it. You're talking about the book? We got it. A leader? We got it. You bring it on. And we're ready to match even more than what you think you have. And that is what makes Islam greatest religion. So don't think, if I ask this question, they will say, oh, I'm a mushrik. No. Please, feel free. Ask everything. You have a leaders like Ahlul Bayt. They're ready to answer all your questions. And the second, the Quran, is another one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فِيهِ تِبْيَانٌ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. That Quran that you carry, it says everything is in there. مَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Nothing we left out from this Quran. So that is Quran. So for your understanding, never think there is something I shouldn't ask. Ask everything. So where do we start to prove that God exists? Number one, Islam tells you that everything that you open your eyes and you can see, anything, they have three different existences. Everything has three types of this existence. Either in the first one, or second one, or the third one, and not more than that. What are the three existences? Number one is called Wajibul Wujud. Now, what does it mean, Wajibul Wujud? Wajib, you know it already, right? Wajib, mandatory. Al-Wujud means existence. What does it mean, Wajibul Wujud? It says an existence that does not need anything for it to exist. In other words, its existence is by itself without the need from outside. That's called Wajibul Wujud. Now I'm going to explain what does it mean. But that's the first one. Number two, it's called mumkinul wujud. Meaning, the existence is 50-50. If the equipment that it needs to exist, if they come together, then exist. If not, then it's not going to exist. Example, we know that today the rain comes when there is oxygen and hydrogen. Now, if you have one, now the other, there's no rain. For the rain to happen, you need both of them together. So it's 50-50. If you got the hydrogen without the oxygen, there is none. If you have the other one, you have to have both together. Now, when both come together, then there is possibility of rain. That is called mumkinul wujud. And the difference between this and the first one is that the second one it needs something for it to exist. Not like the first one, doesn't need anything. This one, no. I need oxygen. I need hydrogen. Now, both of us together, then we can create something called rain. That is called mumkinul wujud. Number 3 is called mumtaniul wujud. Impossible to exist. There's no way it can exist. What does it mean, mumtaniul wujud? They said, ijtima'un naqidain. It's impossible. What does it mean? Something to exist and not to exist at the same time. It's impossible. Or you said, oh, he exists. Oh, no, he doesn't exist at the same time. It's impossible. If something exists, meaning the opposite is not there. Now, if the opposite is there, doesn't exist, meaning what? He doesn't exist. That's it. Called mumtaniul wujud. And our scholars, they give example of this as sharikul bari, the partner of God. Doesn't exist. And surely we're going to talk about why Allah doesn't have a partner. Why is it impossible for him to have a partner? Now, another example of mumtaniul wujud, for me to tell you, you are in the center right now, in the Hussaini Islamic Center. You're here, but you're not here at the same time. It's impossible. Because either you're here or you're not here. But you cannot be here and not be here at the same time. It's impossible. Now, what these are the 3 different categories of creation or being. Now, the first one is what we call God. Now, how did he come about? How did God come about? How did it become possible that there is a God? How do we prove there is a God? He is there. Now, the first answer to this question, we said, God exists, and we can prove this through 2 ways. Number 1, through yourself. And the second one, through the creation around you. How? I'm going to start from the outside, then we come inside. When you look around yourself, the world that you live in, there are so many signs indicating there is God. There is. But you just have to open your eyes to see it. There is. How? I'll give you an example, brothers and sisters. When you look at the system that is surrounding around you, the system, meaning what? The sun, the moon, the galaxy, everything that you see around you, all of them, they crying day in and out that there is God. How? You look around yourself and you see there is a system called sun, moon, they rotate every day. If God doesn't exist, this system wouldn't happen. What does it mean? I mean, to have a being with that kind of system, the sun rises at one location and set at another location, and they come according to this system, which happens every day. No interruption whatsoever indicate there is a God. Because our brain as a human being say it's impossible for something like this to happen without somebody behind it. Giving you some example. Now, let's say today's your birthday. You come home and your mom tells you, my son, today's your birthday. But so, see, guess what? Unbelievable. I was thinking about baking you a cake. Allahu Akbar. I walk in the kitchen. From nowhere, the flour came, the water, the sugar, the temperature, they all came together. They went into the oven. They set up the time. They turn it on. Before I open my eyes, the cake is ready on the table. Here you go. Take it. What would you think about your mom? Something wrong there, mom. How can the flour come from nowhere and estimate itself, the sugar, the temperature, all of this together, right? And put itself together and bake a cake and mashallah. Say, no, that cannot happen. Do you think this universe with the system that you see from the sun rises to the sun sets, and they all rotate within their lines and limit, and no one crushes one another? And all of this doesn't mean God exists. And Surah Yasin, Allah said, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍّ لَهَا لَا الشَّمْسُ يَنْبَغِي لَهَا أَن تُدْرِكَ الْقَمَرَ وَلَا اللَّيْلُ سَابِقُ النَّهَارِ وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ. Allah said, we created this moon, and it has its limitation where it goes and circle. And there is also the moon and the sun. Each one of them have their rotation. None of them ever leaves their lane, right, to come into another person's lane. How many of us, when we drive, sometimes we leave our lanes and run into other people's lane? And we get accident every day, right? With the brain, with all the signs, right? But we still leave our lanes, right? And get crushed. Have you ever heard one day the sun maybe overslept and get off the track and run into the moon, and now we have a crash in the world? Have you ever heard of that? Never. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we kept it intact. We kept it under watch. And that is the indication that there is a God. Because if there is no God, this system will never work the way it's working. That's number one. Now, there are other examples too, but let's come number second. That's the example number two. Your own body. Allahu Akbar. And Imam Ali tells you in Nahj al-Balagha, أَتَزْعُمُ أَنَّكَ جُرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ وَفِيكَ انْتَوَى الْعَالَمُ. Do you think you're just tiny creation when the world is within you as you walk? If you are just to think about the way the system works in your body, it's enough to know there is a God. How so? You look at your body, Allah created many systems, and all of the systems, they work together as a team. One system, the moment you have a food to drink, to eat, Allahu Akbar, inside your stomach, they started to explode some acid into your stomach before the food even comes in. Have you gone to the car wash before? Huh? As you walk in the self-drive car wash, right? Before they put the soap, what did they do? They spray the water to get the car wet, and then the shampoo, and then Allah created that system into your stomach. Before the food comes in, the water started coming in, right? Getting ready. The moment you just see the food is not there, but the system started to work inside your stomach. Allahu Akbar. The moment you put the food in your mouth, look at the collaboration. There is teeth where it started to chew, right? Before it passes to the tongue, and the tongue does the swallowing. Now, look at the team. Team what? I chew first, and then I give it to you. Whoa, the tongue, you swallow it. Now, the moment the tongue swallows it, it goes into your stomach. There is something called digestive system. Already waiting. Say, no, look, you didn't chew it properly. You were so, mashallah, excited about this biryani and nahari, so you didn't get a chance to chew it properly. So I have to help you. So what I do, I started digesting it, and you were just eating. But the system is still working without you even thinking about it. Allahu Akbar. As it chews it, as it digests the thing into your stomach, then it says, okay, now, and it passes to another system, and the system says, okay, now we have to turn this into an energy into your body. What is it? And this energy have to be divided. Some goes up, some goes through the body, some goes through the blood. Allahu Akbar. And you sit at the table, you're talking and you're laughing, and this system is working within yourself without you even feeling it. All right? Now, after they distribute the energy, The leftover, they said, no, no, now we have too much into this system. So what do? They said, this one is too much. We don't need it. So let's push it out. This needs to go to out. And that's when you go, I want to go to the bathroom. That's an extra that your body doesn't need. That's the system Allah created. And it's called Quwwa al-Hadima, Quwwa al-Masika, Quwwa al-Dafi'a. They all system, they work within themselves. And just to understand how this digestive system is important in your body. May the Almighty Allah protect all of you. You know, when somebody's kidney started to go bad, do you know how many hours you get to be hooked to machine just to do the cleaning in your system? I don't know about UK, but in the United States, 4 to 5 hours. A person cannot move an inch. So that the machine does this rotation of cleansing your system. And you have to do it how many times? Every other day for people who have a kidney problems. But this work that the machine does, Allah already put that system inside you that is doing the cleansing every day. And you don't even think or feel it. And this system, the way it's working with itself is enough to tell you there is a God. And that's why Quran says, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. When they look at themselves and the system that we created, they can realize there is a God. And that is why Dua Arafah of Imam Husayn is the best way to go. Imam Husayn, as he talks about creation and Allah, in Dua Arafah, he tells you how my creation started. From that liquid, to that blood, to that meat, to that bone, to that human being, to the face, to the ears, to the body. And then when I walk out, it says, I have somebody called a mother. And you put in her milk everything that I needed. Allahu Akbar. From nutritions, from vitamins, from the calciums, everything. And that one milk, Allah put it all in there. And on top of that, He put what? The most comfort place for you in the arms of that mother. He says, all of these, you did all of that for me. And Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And then he quotes and tells you how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for you during that stage of life. 1 day, 2 days, until you become who you are today. And all of these indicate there is what? There is God. That is number one. Number two, what do we prove? How do we prove that, okay, that God exists, but that God is one? We say God is one because if there were to be more than one God, this world wouldn't have existed. How so? Now the Quran tells you, لَوْ كَانَ فِيهِمَا آلِهَةٌ إِلَّا اللَّهِ لَفَسَدَتَا. Had there been more than one God, I said this world would have perished. Why? Because if there are two gods, that means they have two different desires. And that means one might want something what the other doesn't want. You and I, we're married, you have children, don't you? Someday you come home, tell honey, what are you going to cook today? Say, I want to cook nahari. I want to cook fish. Say, no, I'm not into fish today. What do you want? I want burger. Right? Now, as a wife partner, you're partners, but you have different desires. Your wife said, no, my favorite color is green. Say, no, I like blue, for example, right? Your partner, but you have different desires. Now, if there were to be two gods, they would have two separate desires. And if they have two desires, that means the end of this world. How? One God says, I want rain in Peterborough today. The God said, no. It should be sunny today in Peterborough. Then what do you think is going to happen? Crash between the two powers. All right? Now, have you ever seen this crash since Allah created Adam? Never. Now, the fact that there is no crash, that indicates there is one will that has been working, and that will is the will of Allah. Because if there were two, there would have been other will also, but they never happened. That is number one. And second proof that God is one, we say, look, you live in America, you live in any part of the world. How many parties are there? Government, political parties are out there. 2, 3, right? Now, when there is an election, one party goes to Peterborough to do the election campaign. As soon as they leave, another one comes in. Hey, look, he's not the only one. We are here to vote for us. We're good. We will make your roads. We will make your country great. We will make job opportunities. We will make education this, right? Good. That is to tell you that there is more than one presidential candidate. Now, have you ever heard any other prophet who came and called to another God other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Every prophet that came from Adam up to Prophet Muhammad, they all called to one God. And that is the fact that to prove that there is only one. Because if there were two, which God will sit down and fold their arm and watch one God be is taking all the people, praying for him, going to Hajj, doing zakat, paying khums, and he's just quiet looking, not doing nothing. And he's a God too. Never. The fact that every prophet who came, they says, An'budullah wajtanibut taghut. Worship only one Allah and stay away from idol worship. That is indication that there is one God. And Imam Ali put it beautifully. He says, Ya Hassan, my son Hassan, he said, لو كان لربك شريك, had your Lord has partners, he said, لأتتك رسله. He would have also sent his prophet and messengers to compete for him. He said, وَلَرَأَيْتَ آثَارَ مُلْكِهِ, and you would have seen the sign of his kingdom too. But have you seen that? Say no. That is indication that there is one God. Now, the last not the least, one important question where people do ask, now, okay, there is God, we understand. Now, who created God? Especially our youngsters, that's what they ask. Okay, now, I understand. There is a God, but who created God? Now, we said, this question is a wrong question itself. In the beginning, the question, who created God? There are two different entities. Now, when you say creation, created, they have their element and specifics. Now, God has a specific, and they don't go together. How? Now, when you say creation, they have to have three elements. Every creation have to have it. Number one, every creation have something called limitation. Every creation, from human being to the angels, to the animals, to the plant, to the nature, they all have limitations. And that is the quality of what? A creation. That's number one. Number two, every creation also has change. They have to go through change. You look at yourself as a person. You were born 30 years ago. Your body and today is not the same. There's a change. Right? You're growing, there's no beard. Then the beard started to come. Then it was black. Then it became white. And then all became, there's a change. That is the element of what? Creation. That's number two. Number three, every creation also have or must have something called need. No creation is off the what we call need. They have to have a need. For example, I need a food to survive. I need a water to survive. I need to breathe to survive. Without the air, I can't survive. There is a need for every creation. But God, what is it? God of limitation. God of need. God, meaning he doesn't have anything that is needed. So when we say who created God, now you're putting God into the creation, which is off of that line, and then you say God, which you put him back to this one. So it doesn't make sense to make even this question. But I'm going to answer this question anyway. Let's assume, okay, who created God? Now, I'll tell you the answer. Every being can be put into two circles. One, al-qa'imu bighayri, meaning they exist from something else. The second one, al-qa'imu binafsih, which means they exist and they stand by themselves. Give an example. Let's say you visit a friend. He gives you a water. You drink the water and you say, MashaAllah, this water is so sweet. What did he put in there? Then I say, I put a sugar in it. All right? Now, do you ask why sugar is sweet? No. But you can ask why water is sweet. Right? Because you know for sure, water is not a nature of the water to be sweet. Now, but when I tell you I put a sugar in it, now you don't ask me why sugar is sweet, because the nature of sugar is to always to be sweet. Or you come to my house, I cook a food, I present it to you. You eat, you say, oh, this food has too much salt. There's a lot of salty, right? I say, why so salty? I say, I take too much salt. But you can ask, why salty is salty? Nobody asks this question, right? Why? Because the nature of the salt is to be salty. Now, you can ask anything, why you salty? But you don't ask a salt, why you're salty. You can ask other things, why are you sweet? But you don't ask sugar, why are you sweet? Why? Because the nature of it is to be who they are. I can ask every being, how did you come about? But I cannot ask Allah, how did you come about? Because the nature of God is that He is the source of all the creation, and nothing is the source of His creation. And that's why when we say, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. He didn't give birth to anybody, nor anybody gave birth to him either. And that is what makes him the God. That's what makes him Allah. And that is why you see Imam Hussain alayhi salam on his way, even on the day of Ashura, he was emphasizing about Tawheed. You know, on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussain is reminding us about Tawheed. Where he says, إلهي تركت الخلق طرا في هواك. Oh my Lord, I left the creation, all of them, I'm leaving them. في هواك, for your love that I have for you. وأيتمت العيال لكي أراك, and I'm willing to let my children to become orphans, so I get to see you. فلو قطعتني إربا إربا, if you decide that I should be cut into pieces, لما مالت الفؤاد إلى سواك, my heart would not go to anyone but you. That is about Abdullah on the day of Ashura. When he came to Karbala, you know, Imam Hussain, he was heading towards the Kufa where he was invited. To go to Karbala was not part of Imam Hussain's plan. He was forced to go to Karbala. And when he reached to Karbala, he asked, Masmul Mantaqa, what's the name of this city? They said, Karbala. Imam Hussain said, A'udhu billahi min al-karbi wa bala. I seek refuge in Allah from karb, sorrow, wa bala, and misfortune. Then he says, Ha huna mahattu rihalina. This is where we have to station. This is our destination. Why, Ya Aba Abdullah? He said, because I was told by my grandfather Rasulullah, Ya Hussein, ستقتل بأرض يقال لها كربلاء. You will be murdered and martyred in the land called Karbala. And I remember that. And this is that city. But before his journey, he went from Medina. The first thing he did was to go and say goodbye to his grandfather Rasulullah. And you know the relationship between Abu Abdullah al-Husayn and his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. As he walked to the Masjid al-Nabawi, he said, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. I know the people are after me and my blood. Ya Rasulullah, you know I've never left your sight all my life. I always enjoy your company and being around you, Ya Rasulullah. But for the first time in my life, I have to leave the city of Medina and leave where you are, my grandfather. Ya Rasulullah, I'm heading to where my destiny is. You told me I will be murdered and martyred in the land of Karbala. And I'm heading there, Ya Rasulullah. After he gave his respect, he went to his mother's grave, Zahra, salamullahi alayha. As he came to the grave of Zahra, alayha salam, Imam Hussain, he ran to the grave and fell on that grave. And he said, Assalamu alayki ya ummah. Peace be upon you, mother. You know, I never left your side. I never left anywhere to be without you. Ya Ummah, Ya Zahra. Where are you today? I said, the world are after me and my blood. I said, the world becomes very small for your son, Hussein. And I have to leave this city, oh my mother. And here I am, I have no helper and supporter. And the answer comes from the grave. Az-Zahra is telling Hussein, if nobody is going to come with you, I, Zahra, are going to be with you wherever you go, Ya Abu Abdullah. The narration said, from that moment, everywhere Imam Hussain goes, he sees a lady standing there. Now guess who's that lady? Az-Zahra alayha salam. Ya Abu Abdullah, I cannot let you go without me being there. Imam Hussain reached to Karbala as the Hujjaj. They are there in Mecca, in Mina. They're saying, Labbaik, Ya Labbaik, Allahumma Labbaik, Labbaik, La Sharika Laka Labbaik. You know, Imam Hussain, what was his talbiyah in Karbala on the day of Ashura? When he landed in Karbala, he said, Labbaik Allahumma laka labbaik, labbaik bidhabh awladi, Ya Allah labbaik. Ya Allah, here I am. I accepted the destiny that my children should be sacrificed on the land of Karbala. لبيك اللهم لك لبيك بذبح أصحابي في كربلاء. Oh Allah, here I am. I accepted the decree that my companions should be sacrificed and slaughtered on the land of Karbala. لبيك اللهم لك لبيك بذبح أولادي وأصحابي ولبيك بذبح نفسي وقطع نحري. يا أبا عبد الله, I say, Ya Allah, I'm here saying, I accepted the decree that I should be sacrificed and murdered in the land of Karbala. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, on the day of Ashura, when he was, that was the call of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, that I am here. I accepted the decree that I am willing to give up everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Hussain alayhi salam on the day of Ashura. You know, and I know nothing very important is left until Imam Hussain gave them away. Imam Hussain alayhi salam on the day of Ashura has said, not only that I'm willing to give up everything, my dearest children too, labbaik Allahumma laka labbaik. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. معتم حسين يا حسين.